you, Johanna, for that lovely inspirational speech, and we're blessed with Yvette singing today as well. Yes, the focus of my speech is the scripture that we heard earlier that Andres read, which was from Romans 12, verses 2, about be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good and acceptable will of God. And as Tawana just noted, this is the time of year when we look forward to transformation because the new year is upon us. And in fact, this is not only a new year coming up on Friday, but also a new decade. Mm-hmm. However, if we follow Alan's teachings, we also know that time is just a man-made construct, so there really isn't any power associated with the new year, but it's a convenient way of looking at things in our lives and saying, okay, we have this opportunity to start fresh. And the word transformation comes from, I guess it's a Latin-derived word from metamorphos, but also it's related to the word metamorphosis. And when you think about metamorphosis, of course, the image of the butterfly and the larvae turning into cocoon into a beautiful butterfly comes to mind. So the connotation is something beautiful, a change. And then the renewing of your mind, when you renew something, the connotation, I believe, is also that it's changing into something better. But back on the transformation, another important point is that transformation, true transformation, comes from within. Just as the butterfly is developing the cocoon inside something and then it bursts out. It's coming, the change is coming from the inside out. Now this is the time of year, because it's the new year coming up, that lots of people create resolutions. And in fact, I heard a little snippet about this on WTOP this morning. And some of the commentators were saying, well, you know, this is time people say, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get a new job, find a new relationship. I hope that happens to me. And it's everything is new that people are looking forward to. But one of the commentators on the radio station said, on WTOP, said, well, you know, it puts too much pressure, and this is what happens. You know, people in January, the health clubs are flooded. You know, you can't find a parking space in the health club parking lot. People are vying for a space on the elliptical or on the spinning bike or on the treadmill. But after a few weeks, for some people, maybe after a few days for others, but especially after a few months, by the time you hit March or April, some of those health clubs have become ghost towns. Now, why does this occur? Well, I think it's because the people are trying to make a change from the outside within. They're trying to use their mental power, their human power, to make the change. But as Alan White teaches us, the true change comes through revelation. Revelation, our personal revelation, is always the key to transformation. And so I'd like to share with you today a story from a classic book, as well as a couple of true stories about transformation. And I'm going to share with you a 6-step process, the renew process I call it, to creating powerful, lasting transformation. And even though we've passed the Christmas day, one of my favorite books, as my kids know, of all time, is A Christmas Carol. And when I like something, I become obsessed with it. I mean, I buy everything related to it. So I have the Christmas Carol book, and this is from my grandmother's house. I think it's a 1938 version. It's beautifully illustrated and really conveys the time, the period of that time, the Dickens time. Then I have the CD, because in December I have to listen to it in my car. And I don't always get to read the whole thing, so if I don't get to read the whole book, I listen to the whole thing in the car. And then every Christmas Eve, I watch the DVD of A Christmas Carol, but it has to be the 1951 version. It has to be. I haven't seen the latest Jim Carrey one. I don't know whether anyone's seen it here. I will have to see it sometime, but I doubt that it will equal this version. This one, to me, captures the essence of Dickens' tale. And the actor Alastair Sim, who plays Scrooge, is just excellent. And you see the transformation from this crotchety old curmudgeon to a really fun guy. So I think he epitomizes this. And apparently Dickens wrote the book. It was published in 1843. He was under the gun. He had very little, I guess he was running out of money. And apparently he even published the book himself, I think. Within a few weeks, it was selling like hotcakes. And it's been a classical story ever since that time. I think there's a good reason for this, because it shows an individual who goes completely dysfunctional, has no relations with anyone, is very miserly, total separation, does not demonstrate his Christ-like nature at all, into being transformed into someone who really cares about people, who helps his fellow man, and I believe expresses that Christ-like nature. When the story begins, I love how Dickens describes Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, and his name's Ebenezer Scrooge, and maybe my link to the story is because I grew up from the age of 6 to 18 on Ebenezer Avenue. So I don't know whether that's why I like the story especially. But when the story opens, Dickens describes Scrooge in the following way. He's the epitome of the miser. And if you look at the word miser, I didn't even think about this till a month ago when I was thinking about this talk, that's where the root of the word miserable comes from. Because miser hoards things, but they don't use them, they don't enjoy it. But Dickens describes Scrooge the following way, which I think is so great. He calls him a tight-fisted hand of the grindstone, hard and sharp as flint, secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. Totally separated he is. He carried his own low temperature about him, so he's really at a low vibration. And when the story opens, it's Christmas season, 7 years have passed since his business